Thank you so much, Jerry Kilgore. Our next speaker, Senator Tim Kaine, entered political life in 1994, running for the Richmond City Council. He served until 2001 as councilman and mayor of Richmond. In 2001, Tim Kaine was elected lieutenant governor of Virginia and worked for 4 years with then-Governor Mark Warner. In 2005, he was elected Virginia's 70th governor. During his tenure as governor, Virginia maintained its coveted AAA bond rating in a deep recession and was honored as the best managed state in America, the best state for business, and the best state in which to raise a child. Tim has been married for 28 years to Ann Holton. Ann, the daughter of former Republican Governor Linwood Holton, served as a legal aid lawyer and a juvenile court judge before becoming First Lady of Virginia. Please give a warm welcome to Senator Tim Kaine.
So, who are you putting the intro for? I'll get there. That's funny. Well, thank you, Bob, and thank you all. What a great room of friends. And these occasions in my hometown are dangerous because they always bring up a lot of emotions, and I will try not to let that turn into a 45-minute speech because we've got a wonderful keynote speaker still to come. Jim Lair, welcome to Richmond. I just have to correct. I'm going to start off with Jim's biography, which is printed in your program. It is a lengthy biography, but I'm very surprised, Bob Gibson, that you've omitted something very important. There's a paragraph here that says, Lair is the author of 20 novels, 2 memoirs, 3 plays, and a nonfiction work about the presidential debates. This paragraph does not indicate that some of his novels are about the fictional lieutenant governor of Oklahoma. So he is the perfect speaker tonight. And so I'm sure that you will work that in some way, but when I saw Jim was going to come, they couldn't have had a better speaker here. And I've heard Jim talk before, and I know that we're in for a treat. Well, let me just say first, thanks to everybody here who supports Sorensen. This is important, and as the speakers before me have indicated, Sorensen's work is trying to keep us true to some very important Virginia traditions. I want to thank all who have served as Lieutenant Governor and Attorney General. Just to say a word, John Hager is a dear friend, and we are celebrating John as a Lieutenant Governor and somebody who's been really loyal to Sorensen, but John has also had his thumbprint over so many things in the Richmond community. This convention center. John was involved in the efforts when I was mayor to get this convention center funded and built. Your thumbprints are on just about every corner in this city, and when I was elected lieutenant governor, I went up to get John's advice about how to be a lieutenant governor, and he gave me good advice. And so, John, it's really a treat to be with you and Maggie this evening. Mary Sue Terry I moved to Virginia in 1984 from Kansas, from an extremely non-political family. I married into a family with a little bit of a political connection, but my wife Ann's connection. But Mary Sue Terry was in that first generation of Virginia leaders that I came to know as I was a brand new Virginia citizen. And she just did a remarkable job in the legislature as Attorney General and has continued in recruiting candidates, and especially trying to do something that I think we would all agree much more needs to be done, which was we need to get more women in office, especially statewide office, and Mary Sue Terry has continued to fight for that and will continue to. So Mary Sue, thank you. It's a real treat to be with you tonight. And to Jerry Kilgore. Jerry is a wonderful public servant. Bob talked to you about his political track record, being in the legislature, being a very strong Attorney General on initiatives both in Virginia and nationally. Jerry has continued in a wonderful public service role. He has been one of the spearheads of doing a memorial on Capitol Square in honor of our policemen and women and first responders who've given their life in service to their community in Virginia. He, like me, Jerry is a guy who was smart enough to marry up. Jerry's wife, Marty, was an agency head under Governor Warner with the state agency that tried to convince youngsters in the voluntary way that smoking and other things, they shouldn't do things that would be bad for their health. And when I became governor, I asked Marty to come back and be an agency head because every review of Marty was that she was spectacular. And she was my agency head in the same agency for 4 years and did a magnificent job as a couple. They're wonderful public servants. Jerry, I'm going to tell you one thing I've never said to you about our campaign in 2005. My chief of staff when I was lieutenant governor said that I had one edge early in my time as lieutenant governor. I had one edge in the race that was then 3 years distant. She said, Jerry Kilgore is the Attorney General. He frankly has a real meaningful job where he's doing things every day. He's battling for the citizens every day. He's settling lawsuits for the state every day or bringing lawsuits for the state every day. He's getting in the press every day for doing these things. Because of what he is doing, he will have the illusion that the Virginia voters will know who he is. But you, Tim, you're lieutenant governor. You will not have any illusions that Virginia voters will know who you are. And that was my one little edge. So, but it's good to be here with Jerry, and thank you for your kind words. And finally, I want to just welcome all the legislators who are here. You have a session, an important one tomorrow, and to folks from the administration, from the McDonnell administration. This was a very momentous session, Tom, and I see so many legislators here. I think what you've done on transportation is remarkable. If I can editorialize just once, I'll say, if it works out that there is eventually an expansion of Medicaid in Virginia, I think this will have been the most momentous legislative session in about 45 years. And so I'm going to pray that happens, but even without that, the transportation bill that you guys are going to be wrestling with tomorrow is huge. I wish we'd done it together when I was governor, but I try not to take that personally. I mean, there's only one thing that I take personally. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. People have been candid. I'll be candid. When I saw the transportation bill, I thought, man, this actually is really, really good. It's going to be good for the economy. It's a bipartisan accomplishment. Everybody worked together. This is really good. But then I dug into the details a little bit. One of my happiest days as governor was the day that I convinced the global leader in clean diesel technology to move their headquarters to Virginia, Volkswagen. And on my way out the door as governor, when I had to buy a new car, I said, because I've convinced Volkswagen to move their corporate headquarters to Virginia, I'm going to buy a Volkswagen diesel. With this legislative package, I'm going to be the only guy in Virginia paying gas tax now. I mean, you guys don't have to battle against me. I'm not governor anymore. But anyway, Volkswagen guys are even laughing at that here in the front table. So let me just say a word about the mission of Sorensen and the topic for tonight's civility, respect. And this is a little bit of a sign of the times of Washington. When I was elected, I have a wonderful team, and I did what senators do, which is I set up a PAC. And when you set up a PAC to raise funds to help yourselves and help like-minded people, you give it a name. Some people will name their PAC after themselves, Tim PAC or something like that. Some people will name their PAC after their state, Cardinal PAC, Old Dominion PAC, something like that. Some people name their PACs after a character or value or trait that they want to be known for, that they want to aspire to. And so when I asked my team, they said, you know, go with the character trait. They gave me good advice on that. So I thought about what I wanted my PAC to be known, and I called my PAC director, Jenny Nadixburn, and said, here's what I've decided. I want our PAC to be called Common Ground PAC. Jenny said to me, you know, there's 100 senators and 50 governors and a lot of members of Congress. Common Ground PAC is a name that's already going to have been chosen. You're not going to get the name Common Ground PAC. And I said, well, just humor me. Just go on the web and check and see whether Common Ground PAC is available. And Jenny called me back in about 15 minutes, and she said, well, apparently Common Ground is not as popular a concept as I thought it was. So I have a PAC called Common Ground PAC. And maybe that's a sign of the times a little bit. I learned a very good lesson when I was governor. That's a lesson that I think Sorensen tries hard to teach its students, whether they're high schoolers or college students or the adult leaders who now populate our elected bodies across the Commonwealth. And the lesson I learned is maybe something that I can best express in the relationship that I had with the Speaker, Bill Howell. We were very different people. He was my Speaker, very important role, really the most important legislative role, and I worked very hard with Bill, but we disagreed on just about everything, maybe 80% of the time. And yet, despite the disagreement, we didn't let disagreement, even 80% of the time, get in the way of us having a good relationship. I got to know Bill's family, Ann and I did, and consider he and Ceci and their children people that we really care about, and we felt the same very sincerely from them toward us. And what we learned was, if you take the time to build a relationship, then you find out, hey, wait a minute, there are some things we agree on. So even if you disagree with someone 80% of the time, you're going to find agreements. Bill and I were both very passionate about open space preservation, as an example. We didn't know that about each other initially or immediately, but we came to learn that because we spent time together. We both eventually agreed that the right thing to do in Virginia was to do what other states had done and try to have restaurants and bars be a little safer and not have smoking inside, and we both came to that agreement. But what I learned in that relationship is if we had let the disagreements stop us from talking to and listening to each other, we never would have found the agreements. And then that made me reflect not on political office, but just on life, just on, people-to-people interaction. And I guess what I've kind of concluded is that differences are more obviously apparent than similarities. We see somebody and I'm a male, you're a woman. I'm straight, you may be gay. I'm a Catholic, you may not be. I may be white, you may be black. We see people, and very instinctively, we recognize differences. I may be from one part of the state, you may be from another. We may have a different accent. In politics, I'm a Democrat, you're a Republican. We know that up front. The differences are obvious and immediately apparent. And the similarities, I think, take more time to unearth. What Sorensen does is it brings together people who have some differences. They're differences politically, and they come from different regions of the state, and they have different backgrounds, and the differences are apparent. People get the bios of the class, and they see where folks are from. But then over the course of the Sorensen experience, what people realize is that the better they get to know one another, then those similarities emerge. And in those similarities, you find those 20% or 30% or 50% where the good work can be done. My friend Bill Bowling is here, and Bill and I got to know one another when he was a Hanover supervisor, and I was on the Richmond City Council. And Bill and I have always had that relationship when I was lieutenant governor, and he was in the Senate, and he has that relationship now with so many others. We can be strong, principled people. We can have strong points of view, but there's always that Venn diagram, there's always that intersection, between the points of view, and it takes time to find it. So we have to spend the time to find it, and that's what Sorensen is about. It's about spending the time together to begin to find those similarities where we can do good work and do good work together. So my one piece of advice, and there are people here who have been in politics as long as I have, but there are also people here who might want to be in politics one day, is just something simple. It's like the simple things, spending time with your colleagues. I am now a part of a freshman class of 15 senators, and I can assure you that Ted Cruz and I are not ideological soulmates, but our offices are next door to one another in the basement of the Dirksen building, and neither of us have any windows because we're both freshmen. But when we spend time together, we find that while we disagree on many things, there are some things that we agree on, and in those areas we can not only agree but make progress together. And I think that that's a lesson that's such a powerful one that Sorensen teaches its graduates and that we need more of. I'm going to conclude with a quote that I love, that is a quote of Kurt Vonnegut in his novel Jailbird. In the introduction to the novel, which is a great political novel actually, he says that after writing for many years, he got a letter from a high school kid who said, "I've read all your books, and I think I can summarize all your books in one sentence." And he said, "This I got to see." And the sentence was, "Love may fail, but courtesy will prevail." Love and the relationships we have in each other, because we're imperfect, they may be up, they may be down, it may be good one day, we may be cross the next day, but civility and courtesy keeps the bridge built, keeps the channels open, keeps the possibility of a better tomorrow present. And so that courtesy and civility, which is a trademark of Virginia, and all the speakers have attributed to that, and Sorensen is about it, that courtesy and civility can get ridiculed a little bit as an old-fashioned, maybe kind of an old-fashioned thing. It's not old-fashioned at all. It's very much needed. And when we treat each other with courtesy and dignity and respect, regardless of our different points of view, it keeps open the possibility that tomorrow we're going to wake up and find just that thing that needs to be done, like this transportation package or all the other things that we've got to do in this country. So thank you so much for supporting Sorensen and being here tonight. And it's really a treat to be with so many wonderful public servants. Appreciate it.